Hello, Alyssa.
Hi, how are you today?
I'm a bit throaty.
So,
Sorry, guys.
you know, I must tell you that I was called in fat today.
You remember?
Of course. Well, the thing is,
Smack it.
if it crackles, barely we just hit it. So, every time I know I'm going to interview you, I look at you, and then I look at me, and I'm like,
None of that. Short and stumpy. And like, she's so tall and gorgeous and thin, and I'm like,
well, so like last week, I was called fat today.
look, I can't find pants long enough for me, so I have to wear boots to cover up how short they are.
Okay, so I'm gonna open this with a confession. We've talked. I've interviewed you, I think, 2 times, and maybe 3, and we have spoken on other occasions separately, and I had not seen your movie until yesterday.
Wow.
I'm impressed that you got through Q&As with me.
I apologize.
I know
in advance.
we did have strikes that we were dealing with,
Well,
so we couldn't talk about it.
Yes, but then we did 2 where we could, and I just,
And you haven't seen
I winged it. I was like, yes, I had not
it.
seen
I had
it.
no idea. You should act.
Right,
good.
I'm a theater actor.
Good.
though,
Well, you're
so.
very talented. I had no idea.
Yes, if you notice, my questions centered around you as opposed to the movie. You know, like, tell me about you.
I took absolutely no notice.
Yeah, so no,
Okay.
I was like, tell me about you. So I just saw it yesterday for the first time. I said, I guess I should probably see the 2 movies of the people I have to interview this weekend that I have not seen yet. I rushed to watch one of the movies, and then stuff happened with their travel, and I did not have to interview them this weekend. And I'm 3 years in there too, so I just thought, oh my God, so good. That's where I was
actually liked it. I wasn't sure which way this was going.
So good. I will say that I'm not the biggest Evil Dead person. I like it okay.
Get out.
But I like it okay. But it was not my thing so much. But yours is like, whoa.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was so drawn in to your characters, the storyline, of course the effects, of course, duh. But because that's why we watch the movies. But I was just like, whoa, oh my God, this is so great. And I was like, why did I sleep on this for so long? And so that's why I felt the need for a confessional, because I hadn't even watched it. And I was like, I'm terrible.
I love that you haven't seen it and I had no idea. There you go.
I just like to talk to people.
I'll
I'll
just
talk to anyone about
research it.
anything.
Great.
So, yeah. But yeah, it was good.
Great. I'm glad you liked it.
Something I was really impressed with, and I knew a lot of you guys were not American, right? Because I'd seen interviews and heard you guys talk before. And I was like, those accents are good. Because I was expecting to go into this movie hearing your voice, hearing your natural accent. And I was like, wait, what?
Do you know I've never acted in my normal accent?
Never?
Never.
Oh, so good. Do you?
I've auditioned with it, but clearly I didn't get the job.
Do you work with a dialect coach, or are you just really good at it?
I used to. It depends on what accent it is. If it's a new accent that I've never done before, I'll work with a dialect coach. But I've gone to multiple coaches to get the American down, and I did that years and years and years ago. And I will spend, if I'm working in an American accent, I just try to stay in it. Yeah, I won't talk to people in my personal life in a different accent. That's just fucking weird. Like, yeah, on the set, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Or like if I'm like at the supermarket, yeah, I just pretend I'm American.
You're like, you look like that actress, and then they hear you talking, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Do you do different kinds of American? Like from different regions, like New York, Midwest?
I can't do New York.
No?
No, can't do that. No, I can do Southern, but I mean Southern is so general because there are still different regional ones within that. So it would depend.
I was
Yeah.
also impressed that you didn't fall into Southern because a lot of times when I hear Australians, Irish, or English,
Yeah, for some reason those vowels sit in our mouth better.
it's easy to drop those G's
Yeah.
and such.
There's
So
like an attitude as well to a Southern accent that I like. Yeah, like it's a bit of a drawl. You think of like the heat sort of getting to you, and yeah. There's more to an accent than just the sounds of it. I think you can think of like where you are and the climate and what the people are like. And, yeah.
do you have a favorite accent besides your own that you like to jump into, that you're like, oh yeah?
No, not really. I would really love to work in my natural accent. And not have to be thinking about an accent while I'm working. Yeah.
Hey, yeah. So at the end of Evil Dead, spoiler alert, when you fuse with your children, can you go through the whole process of what you had to endure and what was CG and what was practical?
I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Because it was very complicated.
All right, I'd love to hear about it.
Okay.
Okay.
We did some of it practically. Okay, alright, okay, I'm gonna try to break it down for you. We started filming with, so we called it a marauder,
Yes.
right? And we started filming, because we shot the film chronologically, which very rarely happens, but because we had a purpose-built set and because we were, there are a lot of kills happening and blood being spilled and vomit, it made more sense for us to shoot it chronologically because then we could keep the blood spills and everything like where they were. So we started filming the marauder sequence at the end of the film, and we ended up having a COVID lockdown in New Zealand for 2 months. And we hadn't filmed the end of the movie, so we couldn't leave because, normally if you're shooting out of order, maybe there's some stuff that they can put together in the editing and in post, and you can cobble together a film. But because we hadn't shot any of it, we had to stick around. And then we all had to socially distance when we were back on set. So we filmed a little bit of it with me and Gabby and Morgan all together, with me wearing this crazy 70-pound backpack on my back. And we also had a team of stunt doubles, and they had their own creature suit that they would be put into, and they were in harnesses so that they could be, the weight could be taken off them and they could scuttle around and stuff. So a lot of the wide shots were the 2 stunt doubles with their backpack. I think one of them had a mask of Morgan's face that they had to wear. It was pretty crazy. And my head on that was a prosthetic head that was puppeted, which is just wild when you see your own head. It's just weird. So then we came back and we had to all socially distance, and it would they would film us all separately and then they would stitch that back together in post. Because it's Evil Dead, they're trying to do as much as they can practically. So the CGI, I think mostly was just stitching the 3 of us together once we couldn't be sandwiched in on set. But yeah, there were lots of different ways that we shot it, and I can't tell you what's what in the final edit, but we did it multiple ways. It was very complicated, yeah. So. You're welcome.
You had so many great lines. Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I'm afraid from all your titties up in Paris. That's my favorite one, yeah.
I laughed.
Most people do.
I loved your delivery on it.
Yeah, well, yeah. you got to be. I didn't want to be obvious with anything. Yeah, we put a lot of thought into those lines and how to deliver them in a way that would be really unnerving and cruel. And sometimes the most cruel thing you can do is act like you're being sweet when you're really not, because it's very confusing for someone. It's called gaslighting. Yeah.
I also, I'm not a fan of children. I don't have any by choice. I don't like them. Like especially babies.
You were one.
Like I didn't like myself then either. I'm pretty sure my mom kind of wanted to kill me. I was a very bad kid. I got a lot of spankings and every one of them, let me tell you.
We should dig into this. I'm fascinated.
So yeah, I was not a good child at all. I was knocking things over. I was a
Big
destructive little
feelings.
brat. I was a brat.
Oh,
Anyway,
I
so when I
know
heard-
it's hard to assign bad intentions to toddlers, guys.
When I heard that line, I laughed out loud because of that. I'm like, it's me. It's me.
What was your favorite scene to shoot, and like how it turned out? Your favorite?
All the stuff through the peephole was my favorite. The kill sequence was really fun because we had a very specific timing for everything that had to happen. That was really fun to do. But then just the dialogue with my daughter Cassie, little Nell who played Cassie. That dialogue through the peephole was just like, as an actor, you don't get much better with like that creepy stuff that I'm saying and acting like I'm being really nice, but my face is just fucked. Yeah.
My question is, you walked into a franchise that has a 40-plus year fandom, and you're the first like lead woman in one of these movies too, because the previous one was an ensemble, and then all the other ones were.
I would say Jane Levy was a lead.
Well, they don't find out to the end. That's kind of a spoiler. Is that fair?
No, I'd say Jane Levy was a lead.
Okay. Well, I wanted to know.
Who's with me?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to spoil it because it starts out as you don't know who's,
Oh, okay.
But how have you found the fandom for Evil Dead?
The fandom's amazing. I mean, I get to come and do this and speak directly with people that really love the film. And you don't normally get to do that as an actor. I love the fandom. I feel like they've really embraced our take on it as well, which feels pretty great because the pressure's on when you join a franchise like that. But I mean, I just think the fans have been so wonderful and lovely and awesome, and I meet people in my life that have gone and seen the film multiple times in the cinema, which just blows my mind. I never thought that is what I would do. You know, when you decide to become an actress, you don't think you're going to be known as maggot mummy. I've fully embraced it because it's pretty awesome. It's great, and horror fans are like film nerds. It's like they're my people. I'm not big on horror myself because I'm an absolute chicken, but I love film. I love the craft of it, and I feel at home.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So you had some really good facial expressions in the movie, just incredible. I mean, captivating. So do you spend time in the mirror doing those, or you coach? How does that come into play?
I don't spend time in the mirror, no, because then, well, this was a different role. So normally with acting for me, I don't like to think of how I'm going to look. That seems like the wrong motivation. It's only ever about how I feel, what I want to affect the other person in the scene with, and just be in the moment and live very truthfully. Having said that, Evil Dead was different because I think with a lot of the kills that we had, there was some comedy in there, right? I like suck out an eyeball and I like choke on it and spit it across the room. And that takes a certain amount of timing to hit the comedy of that. And so there's more of a technicality to it. And I wouldn't look in the mirror for anything, but you would kind of have to think about the timing of something and like, oh, I'm gonna take a couple steps, not move, and then, you know, and so I was in my head a little bit with stuff like that in a way that I hadn't been before for other characters. I hope that answers your question. It was quite a ramble. Jenna?
Are you able to tell us
That was
anything?
easy to leave.
Are you able to tell us anything about the Model Alliance?
Yes. Yes. I can tell you some things, there are other things I can't tell. I can tell you that the Model Alliance is an organisation that I'm supporting and working with because we want to pass some legislation in New York that would regulate model agencies because they are not regulated in any way and they really take advantage of young talent, young models, both girls and boys. A lot of the time, a lot of people from underprivileged backgrounds from all over the world that they bring into New York and financially exploit. And the financial exploitation can lead to sexual exploitation. We've all heard the stories about Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was a silent partner in the agency that I was with when I first moved to New York. Those agencies are not regulated. They charge young women exorbitant fees for them to be there. They take 20% commission. They charge clients 20% commission on top. They're double dipping. They're doing all kinds of things that you're not allowed to do in other industries. So the Model Alliance has crafted a bill right now that we're trying to get passed in New York State that would regulate agencies and not allow them to do any of these bad practices that they've been doing. The legislative season is coming up. Hopefully we're going to get it passed. There's a lot more to come. Yeah, and I will have some call to actions coming up on my social media stuff. Thank you for that question. Yes.
Did you watch any of the Evil Dead movies before you did the movie, or were you familiar with it before?
I'd heard of Evil Dead. I made my audition tape because we tend to have to make them pretty quickly. And I made my tape with a friend of mine that was familiar with the franchise. And then once I found out that Lee wanted to meet with me, that's when I watched the originals. And I watched Lee's first film as well before I spoke to him because I wanted to knowledge of it. I was like, wait, if I'm thinking about being a part of this, I want to know what it's all about. Yeah, so I became very familiar with it after that.
Do you have a favorite?
Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
So I
Got a great eyeball.
I couldn't believe what I was watching.
It's so bonkers.
What is happening? It's
So
so
true.
bonkers.
Yeah.
I was just curious, is your Necronomicon the same one as Ashes, or is it a different set in the book? Like, you remember in Army of Darkness, there was all those books you had to say, one, two, girl, get the right one. So I was like curious, is yours like one of the alternate books?
So I think in Army of Darkness there were 3, right? Ours was one of the 3, which leaves the Evil Dead world open to the other 2. Lee's already spoken about that publicly. I'm like trying to make it look like I'm telling you guys a secret, but you can Google it. Yeah.
Someone like me who has not seen it until I didn't know.
I do my fair share of getting prosthetics glued onto my face. Do you have a most difficult day on set? Also, what is happening?
Please don't fall on us.
Deadeye.
It's a deadite.
Ellie's in
Yo!
We get quiet on set?
Right.
We're in the sequel.
The Necronomicon's in there.
Okay. That's really unsettling. Okay. We're just gonna, the show must go on. The hardest day on set was not with any prosthetics. The hardest day on set for me was the vomit rig. It was absolutely disgusting. And they said, this is a one-take shot. It's a one-take shot. No, you'll only have to do it once because you'll fall into it. And then once it's all over you, we can't clean you up and go again. So it's just going to be one take. Yeah, it was more than one take. Yeah, the vomit that you see on screen was being like just throttled into my mouth and bounced out. That was not CGI. That was hardcore. And if you look at the look on my face, it's very real. I'm struggling. I was on the struggle bus that day, the whole way through. I hated it. Yeah, that was the only day that I was just like, what did I sign up for? What the hell? The blood, the prosthetics, like the stunts, fine, not a problem. But that vomit was, and it tasted, it felt like I had buckets of somebody else's saliva. Exactly. Exactly. They should have paid me more. I didn't want to. They gave me a choice of flavors and I thought lemon would be the best one. The other flavors I was like, they sound like they might be a bit artificial, the other ones. So I'll just go with like a light lemon.
Oh, is that what you thought?
Yeah. I don't think any of them would have been okay. I don't, because it was more about the amount of liquid and the force of it. And just like my head was vibrating and it was disgusting. It was foul. Yeah.
Your eyes in the film, I was curious about the blood. How did you go about being on set with, which I don't know if the blood was CGI on your eyes or if that was an actual liquid?
That was CGI. The eyes were CGI. Yeah, so we talked about having lenses.
In fact, you have to ask Tricia how good it was.
Yeah, no, a lot of people asked me like what the contact lenses were like, and I was like, ha, fooled you. Yeah.
So like, I'm an artist myself, and she's an amazing talent. So we work together, and she wears the scleras, and her eyes get so dried out. And I'm thinking about you on there, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like how did she pull through the whole set?
I didn't. I didn't, yeah. We decided against them because of the stunts. Because with the stunts you have to be so accurate with what you're doing to keep everyone safe. And if we limited my field of vision in any way, it was going to be unsafe for other people. So that was, in the end, the decision against lenses and doing it CGI. Yeah.
How's that first? If you talked to Bruce or Sam, or if they were ever on set, did they give any input on the movie?
They weren't on set because we filmed in New Zealand during the pandemic. I was lucky to get there, honestly. In fact, I think me and Gabby were the last people into the country. So New Zealand was very, very restricted. And it was necessary people only. And these days you can watch dailies from anywhere in the world. We're in so they were watching and weighing in with Lee, but we don't tend to be a part of those discussions. Normally the producers and the director, or they'll have those talks outside of us. we don't get a lot of that, yeah. But I did meet Bruce and Sam at South by Southwest when we premiered and hung out with them there, and yeah, they're very fun. But Bruce is a real character. Yeah.
You know, earlier scene with the blood, was it an intentional nod to The Shining? Did he ever talk about
Oh, yeah.
I've never heard.
No, it was, I mean, pretty direct. Yeah. Absolutely, it was. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't have to do the blood elevator. I was out of the country by then. That was one of the last things they did. That didn't happen in chronological order. Yeah, I took off. I was wrapped and I was like, I'm going home.
Can you speak on what it was like to work with those amazing young cast members? Because everyone in the cast was so phenomenally talented, but working with kids can be challenging. So how was it working with the little ones, especially with our subject matter? Sorry.
Oh, this cough, man. I feel fine, but the cough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the hell I have.
I think so.
Because I'm fine energy-wise. What is it? Anyway, sorry. The kids. Okay. Gabby and Morgan were teenagers, and working with teenagers is pretty similar to working with adults. Especially actors, because we're probably all teenagers at heart. Nell, she was 10 when we filmed, 9 when we filmed. She was definitely the most professional one of all of us. She took her job very seriously. I mean, we do too. I think the difference is once you've been on a few sets, you know how you can have fun in between things and when you need to be serious, and you know when you need to ask for space. I remember there was a day, I think I was messing around with someone and Nell gave us a look just like, can't believe you're doing this. Yeah, she was great. She's so good. I mean, it's in the performance. She's so good.
They all were really, really good.
Really good. Yeah. She hadn't read the script, so she only knew her lines and would be told like what was going to happen on the day. And we showed her the makeup process, so she could come in and see like how it was done and what was happening, so that she knew it was all pretend. And whenever we had a scene together, we would show her what I looked like in bright lights, because the set was really very dark. So we never just put me onto set with her. And she hadn't read the script and just knew her lines and knew what was about to happen. And because we'd all had stunt training and rehearsals and stuff, like we all know what's going on and there's no surprises. And in fact, I hate having to act surprised or scared, because you know exactly what's happening on the set, and those are both really hard to fake when you know exactly what's happening. So that's how we did it.
The character of Ellie, there's not too much backstory portrayed in the film. Probably tattoo artist, of course. Did you create a backstory for yourself?
Yeah, I did. Just loosely for her. I basically, there's a little bit of a hint to a mother of Ellie and Beth at the beginning of the film. And I had decided that Mum had a lot of issues and that I had basically raised Beth. So even though she's my sister, I think there's still a maternal thing from Ellie with Beth. And that's who she's always been, because Mum was absent. That was the biggest part of Ellie that I worked on for the backstory. And then Deadite Ellie is a completely different, that's not Ellie, that's a different spirit. And I worked a lot harder on that. Yeah.
Was she pretty disapproving of Beth's career choice?
Yeah, I think she was probably cut up because Beth was never around. Yeah, I think it was less about her career choice and the fact that she was living out of a suitcase and didn't have roots and wasn't with Ellie, which is a little bit selfish, but no one's perfect.
Switching gears a little bit, everyone's been asking Evil Dead questions. Can you talk a little bit
I don't think I could answer the question in terms of historical. I think more about characters in terms of like what I have to justify in them. So I like working on messed up women. I really enjoy that, and kind of digging into unlikable women. I would say that I just had a rip-roaring time as Ellie. I really did. Like, I had so much fun being off the walls bonkers, because I'm really not like that in real life. Also, I would feel a little frustrated at times, being like hemmed into a dress and a throne, and it can be hard. So, like, you walk onto a TV show and you're not the lead, so you're serving someone else's storyline, and at times that can be frustrating because you're like, oh, I wish I got a line of dialogue back here. I've got a real point of view. I've got a real point of view, and I don't have the words, so I've got to do it on my face. But it makes sense, right? Because Ragnar is the lead of the show, so the story is his, and it's not our slot. Yeah, that was a little bit frustrating at times, but Travis is a wonderful scene partner. He's very generous. He works really hard when the camera's on you to help you out, and I learned a lot from him with what you can do to support your other actors on set, because when the camera's not on you, you can say whatever the hell you want to say. And sometimes it helps someone to hear different words all of a sudden, and it can click them in a different way. And he was so wonderful with doing that and throwing things at you and playing around. And I really enjoyed that part of working on Vikings.
One more?
What was your favorite costume on Vikings?
Oh, the one that I died in. Yeah, I was like, she's got to go down a queen. She needs to look like a queen and go down a queen. Yeah, that one.
I got a wrap-up question. You know my wrap-up questions are?
You always ask me the really deep ones.
I do. Well, it's deep, but it's not as deep.
Last one you asked me about what legacy I wanted to leave.
Okay, so you mentioned about, of course, you started as a model and you moved into acting. Do you have any advice or life lessons you want to share about someone who is beginning their acting journey?
That's a good one.
I love it when I do that to it.
That's a good one. Yeah, because I really think very sincerely about these questions. I want to be earnest.
You always give the best answers, so I love asking these.
I mean, you hear it all the time, but you have to love it, because it's really hard. It's not easy. But the hardest thing about acting is being out of work, and it's a constant out of workness. And you have to be really comfortable in yourself and not need work to validate yourself, and you have to find your worth in who you are as a human and everything else that you're doing, because if your worth is only in your work as an actor, that is a very miserable existence. But if you love it that much and you can handle the out of work times, it can be really amazing. You have to keep working at it, you never stop working at it, there's always something to learn. And I would advise that you work really hard with a very good coach before you start trying to put yourself out there, so that when you do put yourself out there, you're ready for it. I think I did things a bit backwards. You live and you learn.
You were already a working girl, that you already had this career in the entertainment industry of sorts. So, like, was it difficult to also switch into
acting, or was it pretty natural? No, it wasn't natural at all. I always loved acting, and I didn't like modeling, and I always thought that modeling was going to be a way for me to either pay for my college or transition into something else. What was I going to say? No, it's kind of hard coming from modeling. You have contacts, right? So like I could get an agent, which is really hard for a lot of people to get an agent. That seems to be like, you kind of feel like there are gatekeepers to the industry, and that is the managers and the agents, and getting your foot in that door can be really hard. So as a model, you can get agents. That is, you have connections to make that possible. But you're fighting a stereotype already because people love to think that models can't act. Look, a lot of them can't. I'm not going to lie. There have been many that have tried.
Another stereotype is models are dumb, and not true.
No, that's not true. That's not true. But you're already fighting that and a preconceived idea that people have of you when you walk into a room. So you kind of have to, you really need to know what you're doing and be able to back up walking into the room and performing. Yeah. Thank you. You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
Everyone, stand up. We're going to get a picture. Okay.
What is that?
All right, ready? 1,